Welcome back to Amazingly Average, the show advice for amazingly average authors and actors. My name is John, and this web show makes me painfully aware of how many shirts I own. This week's episode of Scream was named Jeepers Creepers. Here are the spark notes for Jeepers Creepers. First of all, this movie was named after a song that was written by Louis Armstrong. The song is about a guy that's able to smile through all of life's struggles just because of the way that his girl looks at him. There's a brother and sister named Trish and Derry who are going home on spring break. On the way home, there's this massive black truck and almost runs them off of the road, and this happens 2 times. They see the truck parked next to a church, and they see Creeper McGee throwing a body bag down a sewer grate. Trish and Derry try to look down the sewer, and Derry ends up falling in. Down in the sewer, Derry finds out that this is actually a massive underground tunnel. There are dead bodies lining this place. It is like the catacombs. He opens the body bag, and then there's this still alive person with stitches all across their chests, suggesting that one of their organs was taken out. The siblings come to learn that Creeper McGee is actually a creature with bat wings, and this creature grows anything that it eats, like an arm, a leg, a heart. There's this psychic woman that ends up calling Derry and Trish on the phone, and she starts singing the song Jeepers Creepers. She tells them that whenever they hear this song playing, they need to get out of there, that it is danger. Eventually, the two learn that the creature wants Derry's eyeballs. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Where'd you get those eyes? Why are so many of these movies based off of songs? Derry sacrifices himself to stop all of the carnage. At the end of the movie, you see Derry's body with the eyeballs missing, and the song Jeepers Creepers is playing in the background. Now back to Scream. Kern comes to Emma's house and apologizes for telling the cops about the telephone in her bag. Emma tells Kern that she got a call from the killer again. Emma shows up at Noah's house and finds out that Noah thinks Audrey is a prime suspect, and Noah doesn't tell Emma that he saw the video of her unpinning that message from Jake's body. It's so sad the way that they're driving this wedge between Bi-Curious and the Virgin. Noah and Emma at this point still don't know that Eddie Kruger is dead, so they end up texting a picture of Audrey to Eddie Kruger and asking if this is Piper's accomplice. They get a text back from this phone number, which is obviously the killer, and they make plans to meet at the carnival where Jake was abducted. Eli's mom and Mayor Maddox end up meeting at a bar, and they open up yet another subplot for this season. Later on in the episode, the two of them are at the mayor's house. Eli's mom tries to kiss Mayor Maddox, and the mayor says, "Oh no, I think you misunderstood. I want to offer you a job off the books." And this whole time, I'm still wondering where Brooke's mom is, or if I missed this little tidbit of information earlier this season. Brooke has Gustavo steal the files for Seth Branson out of the sheriff's station, and they find out that Seth Branson's alibi during Jake's murder was that he was with Karen Lang. Apparently, Seth and Karen Lang are having a relationship. Brooke has a meeting with Karen Lang under the disguise of being sad about Jake's death, and then she lies to Karen saying that Seth Branson and her had sex the night that Jake was murdered. Karen goes into a rage, goes into her car, calls Seth, but he doesn't answer the phone. He's actually having a conversation with Brooke where she's pretending to be sad and saying that she wants to hook up with him again. Meanwhile, in the sheriff's station, Sheriff Acosta crosses the line by telling Karen that had the Lakewood students come to the cops sooner, his dad might not have died. Gustavo confronts Audrey and shows her all of the pictures on his iPad, and it looks like he was actually making a graphic novel about all of the Lakewood tragedies, and she says that they're good. Gustavo lets her know that he's mutually suspecting her of being involved with this, just like she's suspecting him. When Emma is supposed to meet up with Noah and go to the carnival, her tires are slashed. She meets up with Kern, and Kern says that she shouldn't go to the carnival, but she ends up going anyway. While Noah is at the carnival alone, he walks into this fun house, and then for the first time in any sort of horror media, he says, "Nope!" and he nopes out of there. And this is so refreshing to have some common sense in a horror television show. Emma shows up at the carnival, and she's being chased by the killer. As Noah's about to leave the carnival, he gets kidnapped in his car. I had written in caps in my notes, "Check the back seat." If you know Zombieland at all, that is the first thing you do when you get into your car. He wakes up strapped to this roller coaster along with Audrey. Audrey says that she was kidnapped as well, which I didn't really believe. Noah says that when he kissed Audrey, he felt something, and she says that she doesn't like him that way. Friend-zoned. Noah basically says that he knows all about Audrey. When Noah says that he was planning on meeting Eddie Kruger here, Audrey freaks out. She uncuffs herself. She tells Noah that she kidnapped him and put him on there to make it look like she was innocent. She tells him that Eddie Kruger is dead and they need to get out of there because the killer is looming about. They run into Emma, and then they run into Kieran. It is weird because the killer was chasing Emma, disappears, and then Kieran shows up out of nowhere. The cops end up getting the IP address of the computer that was sending emails from Riley's old email account to Emma's dad. Allegedly, the emails came from Emma herself, but what I'm thinking is that they were just sent from her laptop. And we know nowadays that with spyware, anybody could have done that through her IP address. Audrey and Noah have a heart-to-heart conversation. Audrey confesses that she asked Piper to come to Lakewood because she wanted to get kind of a documentary about Brandon James. She claimed that she thought Brandon James wasn't that bad of a guy and that Lakewood made him into the killer that he was, and she felt like she was being victimized by Lakewood as well. She claimed that she couldn't tell anybody because it looked very incriminating. What this does bring to mind, all of her letters photocopied and taped to a bathroom stall, and in one of the voiceovers, I think one of them said something like, they need to learn a lesson, which this could be a lesson that Brandon James wasn't a bad guy after all, or it could mean that we need to knock off some people, in which case Audrey would be guilty. For now, I'm gonna say that I trust Audrey, because I don't think that she killed anybody, but we can't completely wipe her hands clean of this yet. We see that Noah's been recording their conversation on his laptop the entire time without her knowing. Brooke shows up at Branson's house, they start to make out, and then what looked like foreplay turns into actual bondage. She handcuffs him to the bed, ties his feet, and then she pulls the blindfold off, holding scissors to him and says, "Playtime's over, bitch." That was so badass. Branson claims that Caitlin, the girl that he used to have an affair with, commit suicide when he left her. He didn't believe her suicidal threats at the time. Eventually, after she's threatening to stab him in the testicles, when he doesn't concede that he was involved with Jake's murder, Brooke believes him. Branson claims that he was supposed to meet Jake the night that he was murdered, and that he was gonna pay Branson $10,000 to leave town and never come back. Brooke puts a gag in his mouth and leaves him there. We come back to the end of the episode, and the killer cuts off Branson's hand, and then takes a hot iron, and it looks like the killer welds the wound shut. I don't know if Branson's dead or if he's just being tortured or what. The two people with a motive to attack Branson would be Kern Lang and Gustavo. Gustavo's reason would be that he's interested in Brooke. He might have been punishing Branson. Karen's reason would be she thought she was being cheated on. We found out from Branson that he lied about his alibi about being with Kern Lang during Jake's murder, which means that Kern Lang doesn't have an alibi either. And now it's time for the killer prediction. Even though she wasn't in this episode, which is the first time she wasn't present, I'm still gonna say that it's probably Zoe. What I must do is now make a list of people that we need to throw some side-eye to. They've either been suspicious, have a motive, or some mix of that. So we are throwing some serious side-eye at Kieran, because he keeps popping up when the killer disappears. Karen Lang, because that bitch has motive. And Gustavo, need I say more? I also forgot to mention that Gustavo has the Brandon James mask on his face, and he's taking photographs of himself, and this could be for his graphic novel, or it could be a fetish. He also has this really cool tattoo of a spine on his back. That's besides the point. Well, there you have it, this week's episode, and I will see you next time.